Hi everyone, how are you? Thanks for inviting me. Let me start with a quick survey. How many of you here today think you know what VR is about and the possibilities about VR? Hands up. I had hoped for more. How many of you have tried VR in any kind of experience? Oh, that's more. That's good. How many of you here use VR on a regular basis? So let's say on a weekly basis. That's good. My relationship with VR goes way back in the 80s. So I was kind of confused and fascinated with the movie Tron when it was launched and Flynn, he enters the grid. I became obsessed with the Matrix, reading the book Neuromancer and the Sprawl trilogy by William Gibson. And finally, when this movie came out, everyone knows what this movie is? That's great. That's good. I was kind of convinced that VR would be the thing that took humans to the next step in evolution.
Virtual reality holds a key to the evolution of the human mind.
With a vision of the future.
I have a game in my house that you might like to play. Would you like that?
Yeah. Okay. That was really bad.
I have different games. I even have one that could help make you smarter.
So the idea that VR could make humans into better, smarter, I don't know if I felt unintelligent being a teenager, but somehow this movie really resonated with me. Sorry? Lawnmower Man. I thought everyone knew. So, but here we are today, 24 years later. And if you've seen the movie, you've seen that the devices are pretty much looking the same like 24 years ago. And we stand in awe of the technology. We sort of are amazed with the possibilities. And if we look at, this was actually one of the most scariest pictures I have ever seen. And we've seen some of our biggest business leaders are preaching the message of the promising VR future. A better, more humane world with VR, with technology. And it becomes even more scary if you've read the book Ready Player One, which I can recommend by Ernest Cline. This image becomes even more scary because Facebook and Oasis has some similarities. And with that in mind, and suddenly the Swedish king, Kung Carl Gustaf XVI, show up at your office curious about VR. You need to ask yourself, have we reached peak VR? Are we at the peak of the hype? Will it ever be more than just a trend? A vanishing moment in time that we will refer to and laugh about, 10 years from now? Well, experts, researchers claim differently. They claim it's just the beginning. That is one of the 6 innovation accelerators that will transform the way we live, the way we play, the way we communicate, and that will generate new revenue streams, which is very important for these researchers. They project that it will become an industry of $80 billion by 2025. I've seen everything from $35 billion to $150. I don't think it matters. But in comparison, the total value of Hollywood industry today is $50 billion. And it's not just going to affect video games, live events, or entertainment. It's also going to affect all the public sector and enterprises. Healthcare, engineering, real estate, etc. And that is all projections, like we might end up there. What we do know is that until this day, 2 years back in time, $3.5 billion has been invested by investment firms. And on top of that, Facebook paid $2 billion for Oculus back in 2014. So there's a lot of money going into the industry. It's an exponentially expanding industry. VR is sort of moving into 3 different sections. We have the hardware and the distribution players. We have the content players and software platforms and delivery systems. It's a highly fragmented and a highly competitive market. But still, most VR products are experimental. It's sales, it's marketing with little commercial positive things. And the truth is that no one really knows how VR will play out, how to profit from it. There's plenty of experimentation going on, and there's a wide open spaces to play in as a player. Mass adoption is still very far away. If we look at the different factors coming into play, for example, price points, today a full feature advanced VR headset costs around 5,000 to 10,000 Swedish crowns. And on top of that, you need to have a powerful computer. We have distribution platform. There's a lot about competing out there, and as a consumer, you're a little bit, what should I choose for the future? Where should I place my bets? And then we have the physical digital space. In an urban environment today, you need to have, for a full feature VR headset or VR system, you need to have a dedicated space between 6 to 16 square meters. And that's very, very expensive space in urban environments. And last but not least, simulator sickness or motion sickness, which is probably one of the biggest issues with VR. If you do try it out, try it for 5 to 10 minutes. I become more sweaty than 1 hour at the gym. My body starts to react to the sensation of not physically moving, but virtually moving. And the body reaction to that is quite sensational, which also makes you want to leave the virtual experience. Luckily, we have innovators coming up with stuff like this, the world's first solution for virtual reality motion sickness. It's basically just ginger, so it's nothing fancy in there. And luckily, technology will improve. We'll have smaller devices, more slow. We'll have better graphic cards. We'll have stereoscopic video, better resolution. 5G is that sort of allows us to have real-time VR streaming, etc. But I don't believe that this is the solution for actually VR. Technology in itself will not change human behavior. It's us as humans adapting technology. So how can we make VR more important in people's lives? How do we make people adopt it? How do we make VR meaningful and relevant? I think that is the big question. How do we create experiences that people want? This is an image from Jan's presentation yesterday, and I kind of just did a remake on it. How do we create experiences people want rather than making people want experiences? I think there is the clue. And yes, VR is quite early, so we maybe need to inform people about what can be experienced. But eventually, we need to create experiences people actually want. For me, this was the first sort of hallelujah moment. It's an old VR experience that I had in Austin in 2013, I think, or 2014, created by Felix and Paul Studios. Basically, it's a very, very simple experience. You put on your Oculus, you put on your noise-canceling headphones, and you find yourself in the studio of this artist, Patrick Watson. You don't interact, you don't move, you just sit there. And you're being part of his creative process in his studio. It's the most amazing experience of being that intimate with a person that you have never met before. Sitting there, just watching him creating music. It made me think about how powerful VR can be as an emotional tool. Being a big fan of Nick Cave, what I want is this experience with Nick Cave, and I imagine this 12-year-old girl having this experience with Justin Bieber. She would definitely pay for it. So, as content creators or brands, we can't expect technology to do the job. We need to be smarter for that. We need to design for humans and not for technical features, and that is where I think brands or us as content creators need to start. And as with any new thing, we need to accept failure as an option because that's really a fundamental approach to something new, to embrace uncertainty and accept failure as an option. Besides answering the sort of obvious questions, why are we doing this as a brand and why would anyone care? I think the healthy perspective shift that Tricia talked about yesterday is really key for success. You can look at it later if you want. We use consumer journeys and consumer mapping for this as a starting point for all our clients. When we discuss a VR experience, we look at where does it fit within the consumer journey. Where is it meaningful and relevant? And it doesn't matter if it's FX Networks, American Horror Story, or if it's Disney or McDonald's. we identify a very, very detailed spot on the consumer journey where we can start exploring VR and how it can support the context, the situation. So for example, Disney, if they want to sell timeshare at Disney parks and resorts, how do we introduce, timeshare, condos, and etc. So we created a virtual reality tool where sales personality at the parks could actually move in on tourists / potential buyers and show Hawaii, where most of their timeshare is, show the condos, show the areas, the hotspots of Hawaii through virtual reality. That's just one example. As a brand, I don't think, yes, somewhere down the road you need to choose. Are we going for the more simpler mobile experience, or are we going for the full feature experience? I don't think it really matters as an emotional impact. This is a great example that was done by E.ON together with the Swedish Simsällskap, I think, where they identified that 1 out of 5 kids in Sweden can't swim. And it's not that they don't learn how to swim, it's because they don't go to the lessons because they're scared about the context. And how can they use virtual reality in making kids acquainted with the scene of being at the pool, taking the lessons, etc. Take a look.
Hej! Vad kul att du vill lära dig simma med oss. Vi kommer vara med dig hela vägen. Men först så måste du ta dig ner i vattnet. Kom!
Okej.
I'm not going to show all of it, but you can download the app and you can actually send after a cardboard headset for you. So if you have kids starting swimming, taking swimming lessons, this is a good way to accustom them with the environment. So that's the more simplistic version. And then it's the all-in, the full feature version. And I can't think about anything else than these guys that are working very hard today in really demonstrating the cutting edge of what technology and VR is capable of today, where the physical world only becomes sort of a canvas for the virtual one. So just enjoy. I feel like I'm back in 1992 when I see this. I become so excited. And it's not just for gaming, it actually, when you think about it, for education purposes, etc. But quickly, takeaway. Design for humans, not features. Accept failure. Shift perspective, very important. Choose a system. Have fun and explore. Don't expect return of investment. Expect learnings. And who knows, mass adoption might lie around the corner. Who would have thought that these guys would have been sort of dominating the world back in, well, only 2 months ago? So success is difficult to foresee. The only way, if you want to be there and actually sort of participate, you need to go out there and play. And by the way, I truly believe that if I see a Pokemon, it doesn't matter if it's on the screen or on the floor. I truly believe that the Pokemon is really there, and that's for John to think about. Thank you so much.